Vince McMahon is the most successful wrestling promoter of all time. This is undeniable. But as the years pass by and his booking methods grow longer in the tooth, the list of wrestlers he can effectively present seems to get shorter and shorter. What I'm trying to say is the WWE chairman doesn't always make the most of talent. Now, a common mistake with lists like this is to see the title, then hear the names, and immediately think that we're sitting here saying that these people, all of them, should have been main eventers. This isn't the case. There are only so many places at the top table, and not everybody is going to be a massive star, but each of the wrestlers on this list could have been more in WWE, and that's the point. So just keep that in mind as we take a look at those who have suffered because the boss couldn't figure them out. I'm Andy for What Culture Wrestling, and here are 10 wrestlers that Vince McMahon didn't know how to book. Number 10, Shinsuke Nakamura. WWE's long-standing issues with booking Japanese wrestlers didn't bode well when Shinsuke Nakamura hit the main roster. The thing about Shinsuke Nakamura, however, is that he was no normal wrestler. He was an eyeball-popping megastar with insane charisma that transcended every language barrier. And yet today, in 2020, he feels pretty much just like everybody else in the company. The buzz of Nakamura's effective debut in April 2017 soon wore off through a destructive feud with Jinder Mahal and an uninspiring late-year run after that. Now, winning the 2018 Royal Rumble brought hope of a resurgence, though becoming a sentient dick punch looking for a target while feuding with AJ Styles didn't exactly work out for him either. Nakamura has since settled into a solid mid-card role, and this is where he lives. He has suffered because WWE couldn't protect his aura and left him brutally overexposed. A shame, but this is where WWE's concerted efforts to make a special character feel less special have left him. Number 9, Bobby Lashley. The current version of Bobby Lashley alongside MVP is tremendous, but it took WWE a bloody long time to get there. Lashley's acclaimed Impact Wrestling run saw him finally become the imposing destroyer that Vince McMahon dearly wanted him to be during his first WWE run. Sadly, however, his first few months after coming back to WWE conjured memories of his old failings. The Sami Zayn feud was a shambles, and a clear lowlight of that was the awful angle in which 3 men in drag were brought to Raw as Lashley's sisters. It looked like a systematic attempt at crushing his threat level, and an abysmal win-loss record undermined any hope he had of building credibility. Linking up with Lio Rush as his manager was promising, but WWE screwed around with one split tease too many before Rush was removed from TV in 2019, and Lashley was adrift once more. And hey, I've just realised we've gone through all of this without mentioning the bloody cuck storyline with Rusev and Lana. Good grief. Number 8, EC3. Booking EC3 should have been second nature to Vince McMahon because, I mean, just look at him. He's big, he looks good in a suit, he's got a great smile, he's got muscles, charisma, he projects star power, he plays his character really well. He ticks so many of Vince's boxes that you'd think booking him on the main roster would have been a home run. McMahon presented EC3 in the one way guaranteed to minimize him, by taking away his biggest strength. The former Derek Bateman was literally a mute for his first few months on Raw. WWE just wouldn't let him talk, and while rubbing shoulders with a soon-to-depart Dean Ambrose brought hope, this was quickly abandoned and EC3 faded away. He left WWE with precisely 0 memorable matches, promos or angles. That's nuts, and something he'll be looking forward to avenging now that he's back in Impact. Number 7, Chad Gable. Professional wrestling is supposed to be about accentuating a performer's positives and hiding their negatives. This is widely accepted as true, so looking at it and looking at Chad Gable, it's pretty easy to see where WWE's problems come from. Gable isn't tall. This is literally his only weakness as a performer. He's a multi-tool wrestler with great athleticism and technique, a popping moveset, and a goofy charisma not too dissimilar to Kurt Angle early in his career. Everybody saw this when he was in NXT, and he still looks great on SmackDown every now and then, but presenting Gable as man who is short lol is a big bag of piss. Nobody can excel in a gimmick like Shorty G, absolutely nobody. It is a pure burial, and not even the staunchest WWE defenders can stand up for it, because it's a big chunk of creative crap endemic of Vince at his very worst. Number 6, Kairi Sane. Kairi Sane suffered by being two things that WWE struggle with. Number 1, Japanese. Number 2, a natural babyface. The list of Japanese wrestlers that WWE have failed is too long to start. And as far as the latter goes, well, even Daniel Bryan had to turn heel to save his overness. Kairi is as natural a babyface as they come. It's to her credit that she adapted so well to playing a heel, though this role still hid what she was best at. Again, breaking the golden rule. Here's hoping that whatever comes next is best for Kairi, because man, 2020 in WWE wasn't good to her, Nia Jax. Number 5, Rusev. How many wrestlers have been cut off at the knees more times than Rusev over the past 5 to 6 years? Here's the answer: 0. I mean, let's see, there was the John Cena burial, the silly Love Square angle with Summer Rae, Lana and Dolph Ziggler, the Dead End League of Nations, another burial from Roman Reigns, that worthless feud with Enzo and Big Cass, and worst of all, the slow, painful death of Rusev Day. Rusev's popularity absolutely soared with this gimmick. He was dominating pops and selling merch like nobody's business, but Vince just didn't have a clue how to capitalize. So instead of capitalizing, he just did nothing with the guy, letting Rusev Day peter out when fans were dying for it to explode. Surely, this'll go down as one of the modern era's biggest wastes. Number 4, The Revival. How the Revival were booked on the main roster is reflective of Vince's attitude towards tag wrestling in general, which is ultimately what led to them leaving. The Rival didn't want the world, they didn't want the main event, they just wanted to be part of a world in which tag teams were booked logically, purposefully, and in a fitting spotlight. They just wanted a fairer slice of the pie for them and their peers, and man, that doesn't really sound like too much to ask for, and the New Day, the Usos, the Street Profits, these are among the best tag teams in the world, but Vince McMahon doesn't give a hoot about their division, so it becomes an afterthought. Unfortunately, the Revival's traditional style and self-worth had no place in Vince's world, and angles like Usi Hot, the back shaving, and that losing streak they had in their last couple of months left them hopeless. Number 3, Luke Harper. The string of events leading to Luke Harper leaving WWE are so dumb that you'd think they were made up if they'd come from anybody apart from Vince McMahon, who apparently decided that he hated Harper because he couldn't do a southern accent, bear in mind Brody Lee is from New York State, and then blamed him for EC3 failing to connect with Drake Maverick as a manager during a dark match trial. It's ludicrous. Harper has said that Vince saw him as, and I quote, a backwoods hillbilly who spoke in a drawl. This was fine when the Wyatt family was a thing, but the Wyatt family died years ago, and the chairman's inability to make the most of a talented, eloquent big man speaks volumes of Vince's own inflexibility. Released from WWE in December 2019, Brody Lee is one guy we can safely say will never return. Number 2, Ricochet. One of the biggest problems with WWE's heavily agented ring style is that it makes everybody look normal. It creates a sense of uniformity. This is fine for certain people, but for a guy like Ricochet, well, he should never look anything close to normal, and that's why he's an undercarder these days. This guy rose to prominence because he's a world-class athlete who wrestles like a video game character, pulling off the kind of eyeball-popping stuff that shouldn't be possible in this high-pressure environment. Removing his ability to do this just makes him a bit pointless, really. What WWE has done with Ricochet is buy into his USP and then just completely ignore it. It doesn't make a jot of sense, so Vince, man, come on, just let the guy fly. It isn't that hard. He's not that charismatic, admittedly, Ricochet, but have you seen what he can do in the ring? Surely that's enough. Number 1, Cody Rhodes. The caveat here is that Cody today is a lot better than he was in 2016 when WWE let him go. He has improved exponentially since then as a result of hard work and freedom. But the WWE system doesn't always reward hard work, and their standards for the latter are lower than anywhere else. Becoming the company ace Cody is today may not have been possible in Vinceland. Regardless, WWE kept this obviously talented legacy performer trapped in the go-nowhere Stardust gimmick for way too long, particularly as Cody pleaded for change for 6 straight months before leaving. And, well, look at him now. Keeping a man of Cody's work rate, broad range of skills and ambition trapped in gimmick purgatory for so long was absurd. Now, Cody has blamed himself for this failure, admittedly, but I mean, Cody's a nice guy, he's a professional, he knows what he's doing here. Besides, the moment that Cody debuted the Stardust persona in June 2014 was the moment that Vince stopped having a clue what to do with him, and his career went on a permanent downward trajectory that wasn't righted until he left. So that's our list, but what do you guys think, and can you think of any others? Let us know down in the comments section below. After that, don't forget to like, share, subscribe and ring the bell for notifications. Then you can follow us on Twitter at WhatCultureWWE and myself at Andy H. Murray, where you can tell me how wrong I am. Goodbye.